Hi guys, welcome to this informal session at Propathon 2023. So in this session we thought we'll do something different, right? Because we've had sessions where we've had very formal talks, information, lots of knowledge being shared. So we want to carry that forward into this session as well, but on a more informal note. So I have with me two of my very old school friends, Mr. Vinod and Ashwin. So Vinod, I think I'll start.
School friends from long ago.
School friends from long ago, exactly. Both these guys happen to be stalwarts in the real estate industry. Ashwin is one of the foremost investors in the residential property market in Bangalore today. And Vinod has a very rich history going back to 30, maybe 40 years in the construction industry. So they're actually pretty well placed, very ideal to give us the information that we need, along with that right dose of fun as well. So thank you guys for being here and welcome to Propathon 2023. Hi Vinod.
Thank you for having us.
Hi Ashwin.
Hi Rahul. Good. Thanks for having us. It's very exciting, but I want to just add that I don't know about stalwart, but definitely new entrant.
New entrant was burning up the tracks. So we'll just start with a brief introduction of both of you guys. Maybe start with you, Vinod. You can introduce yourself to our audience and give a background as to what you've been up to.
Okay, so we've been in the construction space for the last 20 odd years, not 40 odd years, but we will be in the construction space in 40 odd years soon. We build residential apartments in the affordable living space. We've been doing that for the last 20 years. And our current projects are in North Bangalore.
Right.
That seems to be the space that is growing.
Right.
That's the space where you got to get us a lot of sittings, right? So direct sitting.
One piece of trivia, I think Vinod's grandfather developed the first apartment complex in Alsur, was it?
Correct. One of the first apartments in Alsur Road.
Which year was that?
81.
Wow.
So
Fantastic.
that's about 40 years ago.
Yeah, 40 years ago. And what was the project about? Was it like a mixed use residential?
No, so it was a residential apartment, 36 units. In those days, people didn't know what an apartment was. So my father, tells me a story where they went to sell the apartment to somebody in Bombay, and he said, "What will you do? You will take a space and cover it with 4 walls, and 30 of us have to live there. I mean, what sense does it make, right?" But yeah, in those days they sold it at about 2-3 lakhs, and now you know what's the value there.
In Alsur Road, Alsur Lake, I think.
Correct. It's called Osborne Road. So
Osborne Road, yeah.
It's right behind your Lavanya Theatre, which is not there anymore.
Yeah.
And Lemon Tree Hotel, which is there now.
Yeah, so amazing location. Wow, what history and what a legacy that you have to live up to. That's absolutely amazing. And how did you get into the business, Vinod?
I had nothing else to do.
Okay.
No, so this is
Yeah.
so that's a space we've been in always. It's something that is always spoken at home. So even if after school you have your father asking you what is the ratio of cement to sand to stones, so it's a natural progression. So and Bangalore is a city where it's a city that you keep coming back to.
Absolutely.
And it's a city that you never leave. What more than build in that city? So that's the primary reason we're back here.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
So even after staying outside the country for 10 years, we came back and got back into the business.
Which part of the world were you?
So I was in Saudi for about 5-6 years, and Dubai for a few years. So that's about it.
Lots of development there.
Tremendous amount of development, and the kind of spaces they create is fantastic in the middle of the desert, because the amount of structural engineering that goes into each of these buildings, and they did this in the late 90s, early 2000s, when even your cranes and other structure, equipment wasn't as progressed as it is today.
There's no concept of budget, I guess.
That's a concept that Ashwin is very familiar with. He's the finance whiz, I think, among all of us. So Ashwin, do go ahead and give us your background. So what did you do after we all went our own ways after school? Maybe you can just introduce yourself to the audience.
So I don't know about finance whiz or not, but I have a background in finance. But My career has been a very unique journey. I think I got into real estate purely by luck. So, I come from a privately held family business. First generation of the family business was into the manufacturing of industrial gases, industrial oxygen, medical oxygen, nitrous oxide, dissolved acetylene, and so on and so forth. Catering more to wherever there was a requirement for steel and tempering steel, or if catering to the medical establishments when it was in terms of medical grade gas.
Okay.
And over the years, the family acquired some land parcels.
Okay. Where was this?
In Bangalore. In Bangalore, predominantly in Bangalore. And I after school, after college, I went to the US for my higher education. I worked there in finance for a few years, and then decided to come back to the family business.
Wonderful.
And at that point of time, decided to take a leap and take a stab at the family-owned real estate assets. And so, like I said, it was something that was unplanned, and I happened to get into real estate purely by luck.
Amazing.
Today, I think the experience spans being a passive investor in real estate to doing an active development, and now taking it further to even working with established developers and funding such projects and becoming an investment partner to various developers of the highest repute. So I think that we've had a good run so far, and we would like to continue to develop on certain strengths. There are a lot of things that we are not good at, and we are aware of it, and we're hoping that we will work on our strengths and try and grow this business.
You could actually mention the projects if you don't mind. You could talk about them as well.
Yeah, so our most recent association was with Godrej Properties, where we did a large residential project, a high-end residential project. The project was called Godrej United. A very successful project, a very successful exit. Currently, we are working with Assets, which is again very well known Bangalore Real Estate player. Of course, now they're also pan-India and doing various things. We're working with them where we are coming in as an investment partner on a project in Whitefield, again a residential project.
Wonderful.
So these are some of the examples, most recent examples.
So I think your Godrej United, if you could give the audience an idea of what a DM agreement is, because it's something totally unfamiliar to, I would say, 80% of the real estate guys also, right? Since you've been there and done that, especially with a company like Godrej, just briefly, if you could address the audience and tell them what a DM is and how the whole mechanics of it works.
So I think that traditionally, if you look back in history, in Bangalore's history, Bangalore has really mastered the structure of a typical joint development, wherein there is a landowner and a developer partners with the landowner, and they have a certain sharing ratio, right?
True.
The development management structure is a structure which is predominantly born with the corporate real estate players, wherein they said that, look, we are a service provider, we are able to do provide a service, and we want to really play to that strength, we really don't want to get into buying an asset, valuing an asset. There's always a disconnect between a developer and a landowner. So if there is a landowner who wants to own and control the asset and own 100% of the equity, we are willing to associate with them for a fee and manage the development, and hence what we call a development manager, and that kind of a structure worked out very well for us, because as any landlord, we are always emotionally attached to our assets, and it's very difficult to let go and to give up ownership, and you always want to control, and so this was kind of a structure that worked for us. At the same time, being a typical landowner, coming from the manufacturing side of the business, we didn't have a brand in the real estate space, in the real estate industry.
Absolutely.
And that is something that we leveraged or piggybacked on a large developer such as Goldish Properties. And it was a excellent and a fantastic association with them. We were very happy, and it was a successful project.
Amazing.
And I think, there's another point that I want to add. It's coming from manufacturing. We like the whole, the concept of like the Nikes of the world would do it, where Nike is the brand, but the shoe is actually manufactured in China, for example, or in Vietnam, right? There's a contract manufacturer. So for all purposes, we are manufacturing it, and there's somebody else who's labeling the product.
Right. White labeling it and then
marketing it. I think that's the most. I think there are more technicalities in the structure, but I think this is the most simplest way to understand the.
Thanks for giving us that perspective. You want to add something, Vinod?
No. So, what was the funnest part in that?
What was the
most fun part of
the most fun part of
for me personally? I think the most fun was working. I would say it was a definitely rewarding company. I don't want to deny that. Nobody's going to deny that. I think real estate can be very rewarding. But I think the most fun part was really working alongside a large corporate, a large brand. I think there was a lot of learnings. Personally.
This was your first project
for me.
After you got back.
It was my first large
project,
development, and it was a first large association. It was something that we were doing with another corporate. It was not something that we were doing alone on ourselves, right? So I think that was the biggest learning, and that was the most fun part for me. Whether it was processes, whether it was best practices, right from inception, from getting approvals all the way to
dealing with the
sales, post sales, post handover, post snagging, and post forming an association of the residential complex. So I think what the real learning and the real fun was going through that whole process. And I think personally for me, I'm the kind of person who enjoys work in progress. I think there's a lot of joy seeing something and going through that. I mean, you are of course working towards an end goal, towards an end product, but you must love product, but I think you must love work in progress.
Love the journey.
And I think there were many hard days. Don't get me wrong, it was not all hunky dory. There were many hard days, and sometimes you ask yourself why you're doing this, and what you should be doing differently. But it's also fun.
No, but I think that's the core of why we are in business, right? The whole process of going through it. Because otherwise, you would be managers in some large organization.
I think we have went through a similar experience in that you were working with HCL or HP, right? Before you.
No, I was working with HCL before I came back.
So what was your journey? Can you share with the audience in terms of what it was like to move from a corporate to hardcore real estate, land acquisition, contracting, building, projects and stuff?
No, so what the days in HCL taught and which I could bring back to the business was the whole process and procedure that you pick up. Right? Because while our business looks like it is completely unorganized, there is a lot of process and procedures you need to follow, without which you're going to end up with a leaky roof definitely. Right? If not anything, the least thing, you'll have patches of water in your house, right? So the from purchase to your groundbreaking, to your construction, to your slabs, from the slabs to brickwork, if you do not follow processes and procedures, you're going to be in trouble at some point of time. While the land acquisition process was something which was completely new, right? But the learning of documentation in HCL, HCL does a lot of projects with government organizations. So that actually gave a lot of impetus on who to ask what question when, right? And which is very important, because the government officials also, you have a lot of people standing there, each person asking a different question. You really need to know, be prepared and go and ask him in that 30-second window you have. Otherwise he's like, marbodu sir, the poor guy is also here, like 200 people standing on his head, right? So it makes a difference. And of course, the two things that I learnt en route was sitting and pin to pin. Right, so you know better about it. So every document is pin to pin.
Real estate industry.
Right, what it fundamentally means is he has a thick book of land records. Right, and that was something you never heard before. So those kind of things are sitting. I was like, who are you going to sit on? So those kind of things.
I joke. I say that in this industry, the devil is in the details, but so is the secret sauce.
Correct.
You have to get down to the details. It's the nuts and bolts that matter. And if you miss out that, you're going to end up with a leaky roof.
So and you can't release version 1, version 2, version 3.
It's apartment is a final product, right? There's no difference.
There's no patches. You see, if you have shear cracks, right? It's there. I mean, you haven't set it properly. It's there. There's nothing you can do about it. So
let's take another walk down the memory lane. So I want to ask each of you guys that when you were growing up, what was your fondest memory of Bangalore and where you lived in? Let's say, for example, you were on Aga Abbas Ali Road, right?
No, I was on just off Cunningham Road.
Off Cunningham Road, yeah. So what were your memories of Bangalore at that point of time, and what did you associate Cunningham Road with?
I think that anybody who has been in Bangalore long enough remembers Cunningham Road very fondly, because we used to cycle down that long stretch, and it was a road, or it was an avenue filled with trees and just private independent bungalows and residences.
The British era bungalows and stuff.
Very, very different from what Cunningham Road is today. And having lived there for so many years, we used to play, we used to cycle. It was a great neighborhood. We had a lot of friends. We pretty much knew everybody else. It was not a concrete jungle at that point of time. Fast forward to today, I think Cunningham Road is still a very interesting road. I've seen it how it's evolved, and today you of course you still find the avenue and the line of trees, but less of the independent houses and more of high street retail, F&B and cafes, more commercial is what you see. Of course, it's a lot more crowded. You don't see too many of the kids cycling and playing there, which was the case when we were growing up.
I remember going to those passing by his house. Maybe some school parties and stuff. I remember. Nice big yard they have.
And it was a common feature. Everybody had that independent house, a little bit of a yard. You knew your neighbors. It was very cookie cutter. So I think it's changed quite a bit. But it still has its charm.
Absolutely.
Cunningham Road was the first Pizza Hut outlet, no?
Cunningham Road was that's like I said. You're seeing a lot of.
I think so. It was first.
And it's popular. It's popular because you have a lot of F&B, a lot of these big brands. Today you walk down, it's a whole.
Absolutely. It's a retail hotspot.
So we used to, so you had
Cambridge layout, right? Just behind school. Basically.
Just behind school. So you hear the first ring and then you go. Walk to school, cycle to school. And then walk back home, forget about the cycle, come back and take it and go.
So has Cambridge layout really evolved a lot since those days, or remained the same?
Absolutely. It's changed quite a bit. In fact, Cambridge layout has the first 3D printed building in India.
Oh wow!
Yeah, the post office. So you remember the Darshini that was there, right? Right next to that you had Cambridge Hospital. Right next to that was an empty parcel of land, which has been there like forever.
Right.
That is where India's first 3D printed building is. So
That's real progress.
It's supposed to
Yeah.
quite a
That's
bit.
Good progress.
So and yeah, we've had some fantastic buildings on that road as well.
Yeah.
Now it's changing more into a, like Koramangala, it's changing into a co-living space
Yeah.
hub, because most of the 30-40s are plots are becoming
Oh,
towers with your
Right.
co-living spaces, right?
Right.
So that's changing a lot. But
Right.
some things have always been there, like the Sai Baba temple has always
Yeah.
been there from
Yeah.
from 82.
Our school has been there always, thankfully.
Yeah, from
School is
68.
there, I
No,
think.
68.
Yeah,
68,
yeah,
70?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that layout was formed in 72.
Oh, Cambridge,
And yeah, it was formed in 72, and that bridge that connects to Indranagar,
Yeah.
that came in 95.
Okay. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not very long back.
that's not very long back.
Yeah.
So it's moved a long way from where it
Yeah.
was, but it's developed for the good. I would
Absolutely.
always say it's developed for the good.
So my story is I grew up here, right here in Korumangala, and this place that we're sitting, actually there was the first house after St. John's, like there was the wooden house of Epons, and so this is where we're
Oh.
sitting right now, right?
Right.
So, and there was nothing else. I mean, it was like all swamplands, and I joked, it used to be called like Solle Mangla. I mean, like the mosquito like land of Bangalore, and
Right.
nothing. I mean, forget about Sajapur Road. Even Korumangala, there was all swampland, marshland, and
Yeah.
absolutely nothing. So, like you said, I've seen a huge transformation in the way that the city.
We used to play
is
cricket somewhere, Guru's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Down the road, no?
It was all here.
Down the road.
Yeah.
Well, in one of these large
Yeah.
lands,
Yeah.
right, which was
Yeah.
there.
And the road next to it.
The road next to it, yeah.
So,
So-
yeah, so coming back to thanks for sharing your perspectives on how it was when we were growing up. So coming back to the present, I'd like to ask you guys like where you see the city heading and which are the most potential locations. I'll start with Vinod this time. Obviously, I know you'll say North Bangalore because most of your developments and projects are in the north, but yeah, take your pick. I mean, and
Sure.
also like explain to the audience like why you picked that location and what prospects for the future are.
See, Bangalore's growing all around.
Yeah.
It's and the biggest game changer for the south and the southeast right now
Okay.
is the Mysore corridor.
Right.
Right? It's just fantastic how you can go from Kengeri to Mysore in under 50 minutes. It's insane,
At reasonable
right?
speed or like maniac speed?
Normal speed, right? Allowable speeds.
Yeah.
Right, it's
Yeah.
and it's insane, right? So it's an hour 15 if you go at 100, 80, 100, whatever it is. So the way and that is going to be a game changer for the south, because Kengeri was an area that didn't see a lot of development. You had some good projects by Good Earth and the others. Now Brigade's doing a project
Yeah.
there. But it's going to change the way people from Ramnagaram. You don't need to come to Kengeri
Okay.
to live. You can stay in Ramnagaram and still work in your global village, right?
Bagmati.
So, because that's going to be like 30 minutes or 40 minutes from Ramnagaram.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of development of villa plots, and because again you can go back to the larger houses and spaces, because the DTCP does a good work with the amount of open spaces you need to leave for larger developments, right? So that enables the old BDA model. See, the reason we had that was because of the BDA model. That the BDA model ensured that you had civic amenities, you had the parks and open spaces. That is being followed by most developers now when they're doing the villa developments.
Right.
So
you would say Kengeri and South is what has the future potential to grow.
among the others.
Yeah.
So
And
again,
how about you?
Devanhalli is the other.
Yeah. What is your take on which way the city is headed and which way the development potential is there? So.
I really don't have a crystal ball, but if I have to point in a particular direction, I would say north and east. East I'm biased to because we have our developments and our investments in the east.
Yeah.
But I think north and east is my gut feeling. I think that in terms of an asset class, I think that residential has turned a corner.
Okay.
We are seeing an uptake in residential.
Right.
But if you have to, further, go down and, specifically which part in which part of the sub-asset class,
Okay.
I would say that in the north, there's a lot of demand for plotted developments,
Okay.
development projects, and I think this is something that is a function of the lockdowns and the pandemic. I think people realized the importance of having a home, having a larger home, having an independent home, maybe away from the city, away from the din and bustle of the city. So I think that it is a phenomenon post-pandemic, post-lockdown.
Yeah.
So I think that there is a good demand for plotted developments, villa projects, and so on and so forth. I think East Bangalore, again, residential apartments, because East Bangalore has a lot of working professionals.
Okay.
There is always a demand for apartments and homes of various sizes, of various typologies.
Yeah.
So I think residential apartments there. I also feel that the commercial office asset class is also a very interesting one. We are going through a very interesting time in real estate where the Western world, and specifically the US, was seeing either there's this whole talk about downsizing, about cutting costs, especially in the technology companies and so on and so forth. A lot of people working from home, a lot of hybrid, hybrid work structures, home and office space. I think that the culture and the DNA in the Western world allows for the comfort of working from home, and I think that it is an inbuilt DNA, right? Which is why you're seeing high vacancy rates in commercial office space currently, and so on and so forth. We are yet to see how commercial real estate will perform in the US markets. But if you come back to our own backyard, and again I want to speak specifically about Bangalore, I feel that we're culturally very different. I think there is a change where people are now going back to the office. I think work from home and hybrid was there for the last 2 years, 3 years. But I think that people are innately social and you want to go back to the workspace, right? So I think that we're going to see commercial office space, commercial real estate. I feel like there's going to be a uptick in that, maybe in the next quarters, maybe in the year. I'm hopeful that will happen. And I still believe that India is a very good market for all the new technologies. Previously it was we were IT services and we had our call centers and our BPOs. But I think the next wave will be for back-end operations, for AI, for cloud, for big data, for IoT. I think these are new technologies which the West is going to develop and work on, and I think India will support that. In addition to developing ourselves, right? So I think I'm bullish on these three sub-asset classes, and to answer your question, the North, these.
I
See,
think
the interesting-
dive into North, Vinod, I think he'll be the ideal guy, because the North is like a different city altogether, right? I mean, it's so vast and there's so much development happening. Every time I come there,
Bangalore is finally growing like Chennai or Bombay, where each of it is becoming its own self-sufficient. Suburbs.
absolutely.
Pretty much. And North's like that. So each of it has its own character. Each of it, and again, even the commercial spaces are becoming very local. Because
just to add to Vinod's point, I think that North Bangalore is seeing increased development of social infrastructure, schools, hospitals, and I think that helps, and I think that's why people are gravitating towards North.
Towards the North. Okay. So thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure, doing this formally. Obviously, we do it informally on WhatsApp and over a beer, but it's a different, kick to do it in office setting with cameras and within our live audience, etc., etc. So we'll just do a wrap. I'd like to get your, perspectives on the one thing that you'd like to see like differently in Bangalore, because obviously we've seen the growth. We all benefited from the growth in real estate values. That comes at a cost. We've all seen the costs of development as well. So what is the one thing that you guys would like to see improved about this city's infrastructure, for example? Like anything, one point each, y'all can give wish list you know. Vinod, do you want to start?
Yeah, Ashwin start. Ashwin.
So, I think the buzzword now for all developers, all occupiers, all buyers of real estate is ESG. Right?
Okay.
And there is this whole unstated ask or demand for projects that are ESG compliant. It's a big field. It's a very big area. Right? Environment, social, governance. Right? Yeah. But I think that the same can be applicable, while we are thinking about how our city grows, how Bangalore grows, whether it's our town planning, our urban development, what are we doing, with regards to our roads, bridges, and so forth, pavements, and, how are we being, environmentally friendly, how are we being sustainable, how are we taking care of, construction waste, where are we, throwing it, and so on and so forth, right? Governance around it. I think that, it's a great concept, which, private enterprises and developers are doing today, and, the end user is asking for it. But I think as citizens, it would be nice to ensure and work with the government to enable the city also to be an ESG compliant city. I think that would be more of my kind of wish for the city.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nice. That's a very relevant point, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I should have started this one.
You can always add.
No, it's the same. No, it's for the citizens and everybody involved, all the stakeholders involved, because most developers are working towards that and are working towards that very hard. It's not easy, right? And it costs, and people are investing in it. It also requires the buyers, the citizens, to understand and be part of that process. Right?
You're saying, ask not what Bangalore can do for you, but ask what you can do for Bangalore.
Absolutely.
In other words, you're saying that.
No, I think that it has come to that. It has come to us, identifying areas, the way we live, choosing plots, choosing apartments, choosing developers who are spending time and effort in creating this, right? And handhold that process and move forward. Because that would make a huge difference in the way the city develops. It also will ease out the traffic problems, will ease out the way people travel. So you hit it out of the park on that one.
Well, let's hope we go down that path.
Let's hope we see.
I'm pretty sure we will.
ESG compliant
city. Absolutely. That's a wonderful vision to have, and thank you very much again, gentlemen, for taking the time out from your extremely busy schedules. I mean, we are in the property business as well. We know what demanding schedules that each of us have. So pleasure to have you all both, and good to go down memory lane. We spoke about different things. We spoke about future prospects in the industry as well. And I wish you guys all the best for your whatever projects that you all are doing presently and in the future, obviously. And we'll obviously do this again, like Propathon. This is Propathon Part 1. We have other sessions coming up as we go along. So we'll be happy to do a follow-up session and see where the ESG is going after maybe a year or so. And let's evaluate it at that point of time.
No, we know how hard you've been working on this, and all of you guys have been working on this. It's a fantastic thing that you all have put together.
Thank you.
And we really hope we have many more of this, so that we can come and speak. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashwin.
Thank you.
Sit.